Hello, everyone, and welcome to our new edition of the Ottawa International Book and Handicraft Expo, the biggest Canadian and bilingual book expo where you meet amazing authors, book publishers, artisans, and entrepreneurs. And this year, our book expo will be from March the 3rd to March the 5th at the Horticulture Building at Lansdowne Park at Ottawa. So we are waiting for you. And I want to take the opportunity to thank WPBS TV Watertown, New York as a media partner, right? The maplestaple.com to be our event partner. And of course, I want to thank Epoch Times to be our media sponsor. So thank you for being with us on this amazing Ottawa International Book and Handicraft Expo. And today, I'm very happy to receive as my guest Patrick Gatz. Patrick, who is a hunter and author. So, Patrick, you wrote various guides, right, about hunting and how to explore the great outdoors. And I love it because right now you are like in connection with Mother Nature. So it fits perfectly for this interview. I love it. So, your books, you wrote The Simple Hunting Guide, Hunting for Greatness, Scouting and Tracking Outdoors, Exploring Outdoors Logbook for Kids, and Eat My Meat. So, we will talk about them. But first, welcome, Patrick, and thank you for being with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and being out in Mother Nature is even better. So, thank you.
Yeah, well, you're lucky. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. It looks beautiful. So, as I said, you are a master hunter and trapper, and you are a proud First Nation Algonquin, right? Aboriginal. You are, as we said, a nature lover. We can see it, we can feel it, and well, you say and you see and feel that hunting is a way to connect to nature. And your books are about hunting, right? So can you
Yeah.
tell us more? What did inspire you to be a hunter? Because you started very young, but can you tell us more about your story? How did it started?
Well, as you were saying earlier, I'm a First Nation Algonquin native, local to Northern Ontario, Eastern by Matachewan, Ontario. So that's where I grew up as a child. I always lived in the country and stuff, and my father and my uncles were into the outdoors. They did a lot of hunting and fishing, and when I was 6 years old, at that time it was actually Santa Claus that got me my first pellet gun. But as we find out there as we got older, it was actually my father that got me my first pellet gun. So I started hunting with my father and my uncles, doing small game, rabbits, partridge, grouse, stuff like that. And then I upgraded and started as I got older and learned more about nature and stuff like that. I got into the big game animals. So I do a lot right now with moose, bear. I'm actually in the midst right now of Northern Ontario timber wolf hunt out in Matachewan, Ontario. So I'm actually right in the backcountry right now. I came out a little bit so I could get some service, so we could do this interview and that. And yeah, it's amazing being First Nation Algonquin. I trying to spread my heritage and my history with the culture, with outdoors. As we know, there's a lot of talk going on with Indigenous lives and stuff like that. And so as the years have been going on in modern time, we started losing in touch with Mother Nature and being outside and that. So that kind of gave me the motivation to continue on to promote and to try to attract and bring the outdoors to people that wouldn't normally experience it. So I try to reach out to a lot of inexperienced outdoors women and men, preferably that live in the city or don't have too much options to actually get out to outside. So I'm trying to make it more viable for people to come and actually try and experience the outdoors. So first, to start off, there's a lot of skills and education you need to learn, and most people don't have mentors to follow to teach them how to actually hunt and stuff, right? So I tried to implement that in my books to try to be able to be as simple as possible and to cover everything from start to finish. So when I wrote the simple hunting guide, it was to breathe new life into the sport of hunting. I practiced deeply rooted in my indigenous traditions and the way of life. So for generations, our ancestors have hunted to survive, passing down the best kept secrets for success. And in the simple hunting guide, I take beginners behind the scenes to discover all the best practices used by native hunters for centuries and getting back to the basics. So I tried to keep this as simple to understand for someone who's unfamiliar with this territory. So over the past couple of years, society has begun the path of cultivating lasting change by embracing new cultures, traditions, and pastime to create a genuine appreciation for various cultures in the melting pot of North America. So while hunting may not be the #1 sport in North America, it is a sport that every culture has practiced, and at one point in time, humanity would not exist without hunting. So the whole existence of humans started off with hunting and gathering. Like, that's what makes human beings. And so with as time goes on, we're losing our grasp with Mother Nature. We're losing our ways for the simple way of life. And now we're starting to lose the skills that actually provides for us as human beings. So the way we're going, this is not a good path for us, because we would not be here if it wasn't for the beginning of hunting and gathering. So there's a lot to talk about with hunting, because a lot of people have a bad opinion sometimes, and they don't really understand the trueness of it. But at the end of the day, if you respect Mother Nature and understand the way life cycles, then, and you're an ethical human being, then you need to hunt, because we need to conserve and we need to manage. So I do a lot of managing right now. Like timber wolves is actually, they're overpopulated right now, and they've killed all of our deer up here, and they're also they do a lot of damage to the moose population. So what the ministry and the conservation officers, we tried to end up just maintaining and keeping control on the predators, because if they get overpopulated, they end up eating all the other animals around, and then that does a damage to their population. And also, when they get too overpopulated, they start getting diseases, and so they start starving because there's not enough food around, and then they end up dying out too. So that's what a lot of people need to understand, is that hunting is more about conserving and maintaining our Mother Nature, so that life can continue on for many more years as our children's generation comes. So that's what I'm about. I'm about keeping things as simple as possible, to the basics, sticking a lot to my native roots. I do a lot of bow and arrow. That's what I try to specialize in. So I try to do a lot of hunting with my compound bow, and just try to pass on my native skills and stuff with it. So it was designed, so the simple hunting guide was designed specifically for beginners, behind the scene, providing the elusive look into the best tips, tactics, and practices used by traditionally and modern day hunting. So I never before, as this book hit the market, fused hunting with tradition, and changing how I want to change people's view on the sport. So with over 30 years experience right now, so I started when I was 36 years old, and I'm 37 right now as we're doing this. I cover the basics from tracking, scouting, essential survival skills for hunters, and anybody who's new to this unfamiliar environment. I'm implementing centuries of tradition into this groundbreaking book for insiders' view into hunting. Hunting is a century-old practice necessary for survival and is deeply rooted in culture and tradition. And society merely forgotten where it came from. And so I'm reaching out as First Nation Algonquin native and author Pat Gatz and creating a new generation of hunters with this book, The Simple Hunting Guide, Beginner's Quick Start into the Sport with Ease and Tracking and Survival Skills.
I love it. I love it because you almost answered all the questions I had, and maybe like some objections that people can have with the sport of hunting, because you mentioned it. There's a lot of objections, right? And
Yes.
controversy with hunting, but you almost answered everything, and I like it. And I would like to come back to the fact, you said that if people understand how to respect nature, and it's something that you stand for, respecting nature. Can you tell us more about how hunting and respecting nature are linked together? You told us a bit, when, for example, there's an animal that is overpopulated, there might be complications, but can you tell us more about this one? I want to understand.
Yes. So the way hunting and the conservation of just life, like respecting the outdoors and animals, and why hunting needs to happen is first thing is hunting actually all the money that gets raised with hunting from tags, permits, any events and stuff like that, that's all funded by hunters and that. So all your conservation officers, departments, ministry, all that is paid by actual hunters who spend on tags and permits and stuff. So first, to start it off, if we didn't have hunting, period, there would be no money to actually preserve all of our outdoor lands, our parks, our national parks. Like our biggest one up in our area is Algonquin National Park. Now, none of their funding, all that would ever exist if there was no hunter. So people need to understand that the only reason any of the animals are protected, any parks, national parks, are created from hunters who are conservationists and respect the nature. So why hunters need to be out there in that is for a lot of things, not just predators. Predators need to be controlled because, as I was saying earlier, with the timber wolves right now, which I'm in the midst of hunting, they actually do very devastating damage to populations from moose, deer, all the way down to small game. Now, the thing with wolves is they are constantly eating food. So they always need to eat food to maintain energy. Now, the thing is if they run out of certain food, they're going to the next best thing. So whatever it is. So when you have too many wolves in an area, and wolves only can live in certain demographics of environment, the wolves will actually start so after they eat most of the animals around and stuff, they'll actually start going closer into town where it's populated with humans. And then that's when we start getting issues where people's pets start getting missing and stuff like that for it. So the wolves need to end up being controlled. Like up in northern Ontario, we used to have deer. Like about 40-50 years ago, we used to have deer all running throughout here, and now they do not exist up here. The wolves came in, and when they came in, they ate all the deer and took them out. So as the years overcome and they became overpopulated and stuff, they moved from the deer and then they started onto the moose population. Well, now our moose population is being affected by it, and it's getting harder now for even hunters to actually go hunt moose. So there's a tag system now. You have to get points to actually be able to hunt moose. And that has brought us now where it's becoming very difficult now to actually go and actually enjoy moose hunt out there. So you have to end up keeping control of these animals or they're going to do damage. Now, that's on the predator side of things. It's same with bears. Bears up here, like they will actually eat living moose that's actually giving birth to their babies. Like there's no remorse when it comes to Mother Nature. So we're just out here kind of being a balance, being a judge, conserving, managing the land, because everything has to be balanced in life. And if it's not balanced, we're going to run into issues and there's going to be problems. So that's with predators. Now, when it comes to like moose, deer, and all that, there, people are like, well, they're not predators. Why do they need to be hunted and stuff like that, right? Well, what happens with that is when moose or deer or any other animal becomes overpopulated with their species, they have effect with Mother Nature. And so for deer, what happens with deer is when they get overpopulated, they actually get disease. And so when they get disease, it spreads to all the other deer, and then they die off from disease and not from like natural way of life. So then their species ends up becoming extinct, or there's a huge drop in their population. And that's because the disease has now spread through the deer. It's same with moose. Moose is the same thing. If there's too many moose in an area, they will have effect on other animals' ways of life, from eating all the grub food sources around and stuff. So everything in life is connected. And when people realize this, as long as you respect Mother Nature and respect the way the hunting ethical world is, then it's good for everybody, and we need that balance. So that's more where I come from, is just trying to conserve, maintain, and the focus is just doing what we were meant to do, like from the beginning of time, from humanity. And so the thing is if we ever run into problems like during this pandemic that we just went through for the last 3 years, that should have opened up people's eyes and realized that if our food supply, our food chain from the grocery stores ever gets stopped, or there's some kind of blockage from it, then we are in some deep trouble here as human beings, especially if we can't survive on our own. Like, what would happen if we can't get any food, like, and you can't go to the grocery store? Like, what are you going to do with that? So I'm trying to just look in the future, trying to maintain our balance, our way of life, and trying to spread this to anybody who's willing to listen and have an open mind about the way humans are and the way we should exist. Like this has been going for thousands of years, the way we hunt as natives, and yeah, nothing's going to ever change that. And we have to just maintain it so that our children and the future generations can enjoy the beauty of Mother Nature. So
it's very interesting, and the way you bring it, it is interesting actually, because you give another opinion. And well, I personally understand better how it works, and I thank you for that. And what's amazing is that on your books you explain all of this, and you give, as you said, tips, advices how to do it properly, respecting nature, and how to respect animals also. So thank you for sharing your knowledge. And I was well, before asking my next question, you talked about like stores, right? And in your books you say and that hunting, it's a way also to reward yourself on how to choose properly your food, right? Like having
yeah.
feed your family and feed yourself in a more natural way without chemicals. Well, you're talking about that, and I find it very interesting because I didn't think about that at first, right? And when I read that, I was like, oh, okay. And you're talking about survival. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know how things, what can happen. So that's another point of view, and I'm sure it's going to make people think about that.
Yeah,
So
I'll touch base on that, Ursula. Is so about the natural health and nutrition of wildlife, you got to think about it this way here. So people look at like the grocery store food, steaks, roasts, all that stuff, all the meat period in the grocery stores, right? Comes from actually you're raising animals, almost like domestic animals, cows, pigs, chickens, whatever. You're raising these animals just for one thing, which is food. And if you ever saw any of these places that they do the butchering of the animals and stuff like that, it's unsanitary conditions. You don't know, it's kind of like a conveyor belt. They just run through. It's disgusting. So if you actually look and see where the animals from the grocery store are coming from, you might have a different opinion next time you go have a steak. So the thing with Mother Nature and being natural, none of my meat ever gets recall. And from the time I end up having the meat to field dress and to put on my table to provide for my family, that meat, I know exactly where it comes from, how it's packaged. It's all natural, living off Mother Nature from the bushes, the grasses, any food that they end up eating. And so Mother Nature itself up here is there's no pollution. It's all natural. There's no chemicals being processed. So like a lot of beef and stuff, they got hormones. You don't even know what they have processed, and they try to feed these animals to get them beefed up to get as much meat off them as possible. So the thing is, you don't know what you're getting in this grocery store. The other thing is, how long has it been sitting there? You don't know from the time it's been processed to the time it's been coming out of that store, how long it's been in there. They also add stuff in it so that the meat lasts longer. So the thing is when I actually hunt and have my meat, I know exactly how good it is. I package it, I field dress it all myself. And that's another thing I try to teach for everybody, is because most hunters, they know how to hunt, but they don't know how to field dress. 80% of hunters actually do not know how to field dress. So that's one thing I've been trying to focus on. And that's where my second book, the Eat My Meat book, specializes on, is actually step by step on how to field dress the 12 popular small game animals of North America. So I go into very details just to give you an idea, and you can actually just follow step by step and field dress on your own, first time ever doing it, just by following my book. So the thing with the hunting and being natural is you know what you're getting. And I can say one thing, Ursula, my meat never gets recalled. Never gets recalled.
I'm sure it is not.
And the thing is, if you know how to package your meat there, my meat can last for 1-2 years in the freezer. Wow. So yeah, so if you know how to package everything properly, how to field dress properly, how to hunt from the beginning properly, you will have the best tasting and healthiest meat ever. The thing with natural meat too, from deer, moose, they are most leanest meat than even beef. They have absolutely no fat whatsoever. So you actually have to add fat in with wild meat or it will burn. So like if you were to cook up a pound of hamburger in the frying pan, deer hamburger, moose hamburger, whatever wild animal hamburger, there will not be a drop of grease in that frying pan. You will actually burn it. So they're so lean and healthy in the proper protein that our body as humans need to naturally digest, that it's super healthy. And the fat that you add in there is just enough fat to actually add like the fat that you need for your body to process and for the meat to digest too. So at the end of the day with it, the meat's the most healthiest meat than beef. So I have
there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. And well, obviously we have everything on your books, right? You tell us what to do, what not to do. Can you tell us, just for those who are watching these videos, maybe 2 things that a hunter or new hunter has to know before going to hunt, and 2 things he does not have to do? Like what you learn? What can you share with us today?
All right. The first thing I would share to a new hunter that they need to learn to do for hunting or to before they start hunting
Mhm.
is gear. Gear is the most important. You need to have proper gear to go out hunting in there. Proper equipment. Also, there's a lot of skills and equipment involved with hunting. So starting off with it, I would keep it simple, basic gear that you need, and don't get too complicated in with the situation. Uh, Another thing is go go out with like somebody that has
Mhm.
experience and guidance, because there is so much to learn in hunting. Like, I've been hunting for over 30 years, and I still, every time I go out on a hunt, there's always something new that you discover. Like, animals are always doing something different, environment's always doing something different, so you always end up learning something new every time you go out hunting. So it can become overwhelming and a little um, uh, intimidating. But if you have somebody to go with or that can mentor you, it makes it a lot easier to do. Uh, and then it was two things that
Not to do. Yes.
not to do. Do not think that after reading my book, which does cover everything, so you can actually go out hunting right after, but I suggest go out with somebody for a couple times till you actually get the hang of things and that, because Mother Nature is very dangerous and an
Mhm.
unsafe environment, and you always got to be prepared. And that's one thing I try to let a lot of people know is it's not a safe place in the wilderness. Like, there's so much terrain, animals, stuff that is very dangerous out there. So don't just think, you read one book or you read watch a couple of videos that you can go out hunting. And there's so many laws and regulations that you need to follow. So being on the serious side of things, I say do not go out hunting unless you've been with somebody who knows what they're doing for a couple of times. So that's one thing. Second thing I would say do not do is go out and think you know everything when you do go out hunting for your first time, or even after a couple times. Like, with me hunting for over 30 years now, I act like it's my first time out
You,
there.
yes.
And every time it is your first time out there, because nothing's the same. Everything's different. Like, I'm in this terrain that I'm here in the summertime, and you would not even, I could have a video in the exact same spot and you would not even have a clue it was right here. And that's all the different stuff you have to deal with. So being prepared, just not thinking you know everything, and just listen, keep an open mind, learn, and enjoy the beauty of Mother Nature. And that's, I would say, is probably the best advice I could tell new people who wanted to enjoy hunting or the outdoors.
Awesome. And read your book first, right? Read your book
Yeah.
first.
So, Ursula, just to clarify a little more on that too, I specifically made that book. So as I was growing up, I read tons of different hunting books, and there's not one hunting book out there that covers one topic of hunting. So I had to read multiple hunting books to actually find out the information I wanted to. So when I wrote the simple hunting guide, that was my main goal, was to cover everything from start to finish. So if somebody did want to read my book from start to back and to go out hunting for it, they would be able to. And like I said, do not go out unless you have other people. But if you do, I made that book so it does cover all the basics and be as safe as possible for someone who is interested. Now, it's not a cheap sport either. Hunting is actually a very expensive sport when it comes to all your equipment, your gear, and stuff you need. Like, every single animal you hunt is different equipment and gear you need. So it's very expensive. So I would suggest that if you are looking to try hunting or to experience the outdoors, and hunting to me too isn't just meaning going out shooting animals. It's going out, you could have a camera and videotape and go watch sightseeing animals and Mother Nature. So myself, I'm not always out there hunting, shooting animals. No, half the time, I would say 80% of the time, I'm scouting and tracking. And it's only 20% of the time I'm actually hunting. So when I'm out there, I'm more just seeing Mother Nature, seeing the way the animals are, their habitat, how they are operating, when they're feeding, when they are traveling. So it's not just about going out there taking animals. Like like I said, 80% of the time I'm scouting and I'm just out hiking in the outdoors. So so when I designed the simple hunting book, I made it so that it covers everything, and that you could literally take your camera and go right out and start enjoying the Mother Nature and see first if hunting would be something you're interested in doing. Because it's different too when it comes to the time when you actually have to take an animal's life on there, that it is hard to understand or to deal with at first. So you need to know if you're ready for that. And so that's why I suggest it's just getting outdoors and scout and track. You don't need to hunt. It's all you need to do is go out and become one with Mother Nature and see how Mother Nature works in its natural habitat. So take a camera, go outdoors, and there's hunting for you. Like, hunting's not defined as going and taking just animals. Like, that's hunting. You're going out hunting, you're trying to videotape and trying to get photos of wildlife. So to me, I just wanted a book that was able to kind of represent that and show people that have a wrong opinion about hunting that that's not what we hunters are all about, is taking animals' lives. Like, it's more to that. And
discovering also. And
yes,
I like it. I like this because your book is not only for people who want, as you said, like hunt in a way, like take an animal life, right? It's also discovering, learning, observing how nature works, how the cycle of life. And I like it. And you do it for kids also, because there's a lot good for kids. So for those who are passionate about nature as you are, and who want to discover more, who wants to explore more, there's a guide for that.
yes.
And I like it. I just have one last question for you. Actually, I have a lot, but we have a limited time. So, but what is one of the best discoveries, like the most impactful discovery you had by exploring nature? Because you spoke about discovering nature and that you're learning something new every time. What was the most impactful thing you observed?
So the most impactful so far, I would say, is watching. I was out hunting one time. I was scouting Northern Ontario moose, and I was out following a family. It was a cow and a bull moose, and they were out in their area, and I was following them. I was just watching them, and I was about 400 yards or so away, and I was just watching them being natural in their natural habitat. And as the day went on in that, the cow was actually ended up starting to have birth. And I witnessed a baby moose, which is, a lot of people don't even see moose, period, ever in real life, their
Right.
whole life, but witnessed a little baby calf moose be born from a cow, natural. Didn't even know I was there watching it in that. So I would say that was a miraculous event, like once in a lifetime opportunity. You would never like, it's very rare you would get to see a chance like that, and to just see new life raise up in the animal kingdom is amazing. So I watched it, and I sat there and just witnessed the most most wonderful thing that happens out in Mother Nature. So that was very impactful in my life. And I use the outdoors. When I'm outside in the outdoors, it's like the best therapy you can ever have. Like, talk about peace and quiet. The only thing I hear out here is the animals making the noise and the birds chirping, and that's about it. So if you want peace, you want quiet, you go out to Mother Nature. And there's a lot of land and a lot of things being taken away and being developed in modern time now, and you don't know how long we're going to have these beautiful bushes and the chances to actually go and enjoy the outdoors. And so that's why, to me, it's very important to conserve, maintain, have an ethical and respect to Mother Nature and the way life is, the cycle of life. And so I want to just tell everybody in Canada, like, you're Canadian. We got the most land out there in the world. We're like the most biggest country for land to human beings there is. So go enjoy it. Check the outdoors. There's so much to explore and to experience. And we only live once, so you might as well check it out and see how things are. So yeah, get outside, get outdoors, and enjoy Mother Nature at its finest.
Well, thank you so much, Patrick, for everything that you said. I'm sure people learned something new today. I did, so I'm sure other people did. And well, actually, I have a last question. That one will be my last. What are your upcoming projects? Because upcoming writing projects, because I know you're doing a lot and you really want to spread the word and, like, help people to understand better your way of life. So what are you doing right now? What are you working on?
So what I'm working on right now is the ultimate hunter's wild game cookbook. And this cookbook is a lot different than your typical cookbook that you would expect. It's not just recipes in there. It's actually, I made it so that every species that I have in there of animal has an educational fact and stat about that animal and that. So when you're actually cooking up your wild game that you get from Mother Nature and that, you can actually educate yourself about all the animal and to find out a little bit more facts and information that you would not know about that animal. And so I'm kind of making it an informative cookbook guide, so that not that you're even learning new recipes of the popular game animals here, but you're also getting educated with important facts and tips and tactics that you would never know unless somebody mentored you and told you about it. So I'm kind of putting the reading world and cook world together in this book, and keeping it to my traditions of being First Nation Algonquin Native, and spreading that culture and our heritage with our ways of life to the world. So that's what I'm in the midst of working. I'm hoping to have it published in the next 2 months there. So everybody keep their ears open and for when that book comes out. But yeah, I'm trying to make it educational, not just your typical book that you would just pick up and start cooking. So
Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your experience, everything that you learned, as you say, like with your origins, and that you're sharing with us. That's amazing. Again, as I said, I learned a lot, and I love the fact that your book is for everyone, not only typical hunter as we see it, but for everybody who wants to explore and connect with nature, as we were saying before, for someone who wants to, like, learn how to recognize animals, their prints and everything. We can learn that with your books. It's a great guide, like, for adults, for children. Amazing. Thank you so much, Patrick. So we see you from Friday to Sunday, from March the 3rd to the 5th at the Horticulture Building at Lansdowne Park, Ottawa. I'm sure there will be a lot of people curious who will want to learn more about your knowledge. Thank you again. Thank you for everyone who watched us today. I hope you enjoyed this video as much we enjoyed doing it, right? And
Yes.
we see you at the International Ottawa Book and Handicraft Expo. Thank you again, Patrick.
Thank you, Ursula, for having me. It's been an honor to be able to speak about my Native heritage and to speak about Mother Nature and the way we all should think of Mother Nature. And so I'm looking forward to the book and expo, and anybody who's showing up and coming out, it's going to be a great expo. You're going to learn a lot, and I'm ready to answer any questions and to spread our culture and the way of life to everybody. So thank you very much.
Welcome to see you. Welcome visit you. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.